The thing you'll hear most from real estate agents right now is there has never been a better time to sell, which is true. I mean, the prices are at an all-time high, and if you're a homeowner, you likely recognize that. But I'd say the conversation that I've had most over the last 8 years as the market has continued to go up is, well, yeah, I mean, I'd love to sell, and then where am I supposed to go? And that is a valid concern, and you need to consider your reason for moving before making that commitment. Do you need more space? Are you downsizing? Is it a job transfer, retirement? I mean, there are many reasons why you might be considering a move, and people recognize that the selling process right now is generally pretty quick, but the buying process can be extremely difficult because there is so much competition. And I think it's this second step that paralyzes people. They're just like, I don't want to be homeless, or I don't want to feel that pressure of time to buy the next home and maybe it's not going to be the right one. So the ultimate question right now is, how do you sell and buy at the same time? And I've already done this multiple times this year, and it's worked in different ways. So here are the steps to determine, first of all, if you should actually move, and then the options to accomplish that. Step number 1, get a conservative estimate of your net proceeds. I meet with possible sellers, and first I do a market analysis to determine, okay, what's the likely price their home is going to sell for. Then I work with the title company to create an estimated net sheet with the likely sales price. And I usually try to do, okay, here's a low, a mid, and a high price range. And then subtract out the loan payoff, if there's a loan, and the closing costs, and the proceeds that you receive from selling. That can be the down payment for the next property. Step number 2, get pre-approved with a lender. Now, getting that pre-approval for the loan combined with the money that you have for the down payment after selling, and that's based on that estimated net sheet, that allows you to know what price you can afford. And you might say, like, I mean, why get the pre-approval letter now? I'll just do it when I'm ready to buy. But you don't want to sell your home and then find out that maybe you're priced out of the area that you're specifically selling to move into. Step number 3, home preparation. Make the decision on what to do before putting your home on the market. And this is a preliminary conversation I have at the same time I'm determining the likely value of your home, because properly preparing a home for sale is an essential step in this process. If the home doesn't sell, then none of these steps matter. So I walk through the home with my clients and I make recommendations. And I always say, some of these things are not going to be doable because of either time or inconvenience, but in a perfect world, this is what we should do before we go on the market. Now, step number 4, buyer consultation. I have this buying conversation with my clients while we're talking about the value of their home and how to prepare it, because I don't want someone to sell their home and then not have a realistic expectation of finding the next home. So make your wish list, prioritize your criteria, and this combined with what the lender says you can afford, this will help me do some probability research, like how many properties sold in the area that you want to be that fit your top criteria and that are in a price range that you feel comfortable with, because this could determine how long it takes to find that next home. Step number 5, review the following 4 options. Now, these 4 options are all approaches that I've used with my clients when we've been selling and buying at the same time. They all have pros, they all have cons, so take a second to look at this and think about which option would be best for you. Option number 1, write offers contingent on selling. There's a document that you can include with an offer that's called the contingency for sale of buyer's property. And it allows you to put in the time period you have to have your property on the market, accept an offer, and close escrow before purchasing the new home. And this allows you to back out of buying that house if you're not able to sell. The pros, it allows you the peace of mind of knowing if you can't sell your home, you're not going to be stuck owning 2 homes, and also the confidence of knowing you have found the house that you want to move to before putting your home on the market. The cons, I mean, in a hot market, these types of offers are essentially impossible to get accepted. It creates uncertainty for sellers who now, I mean, they have to be concerned with your home selling for their home to sell. And when many offers right now have no contingencies or they're all cash and competition is really fierce, sellers have enough options that considering an offer with such uncertainty is just not worth the risk. Now, I've done this many times, albeit in slower markets. And when a home sits on the market for a while and this is the seller's best option, some are willing to take the risk. The craziest transaction that I had like this was writing an offer contingent on us selling to a seller who had an offer accepted contingent on them selling, and then we received an offer from a buyer contingent on them selling. It was this daisy chain from hell, and it pretty much ensured that no timeline in the contract was going to get met. Now, when it works, it's great, but it opens the door for a lot more things to go wrong. Option number 2, listing your home and negotiating a rent back at the close of escrow. Now, a rent back, or it's the seller to remain in possession addendum, this allows you to stay in your home for an additional period after your home sells. Now, I've had a lot of success negotiating this, and when buyers are trying to differentiate their offer from others, and maybe they're maxed out in the price that they can offer based on what they're qualified for, they can further incentivize the seller by letting them stay longer. So I recently negotiated a 50-day free rent back where the sellers were able to remain in the home nearly another 2 months after the house sold without paying a dime. Now, sometimes, the rent back may be at the market rate for rent, or at the buyer's principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, or the cost for them of owning the property for whatever period they rent back. The pros, the additional time gives you more of an opportunity to find the right replacement property without having to move out in between. The cons, you may get to the end of that rent back and still be looking for a place to buy. What then? Well, that brings up option number 3, selling and getting a short-term rental. Now, this could be an extended stay, it could be an Airbnb. If you don't have a rent back to stay in the home or the time runs out, get a short-term rental to buy yourself a bit more time. I actually have a client right now, they're doing this in preparation of going on the market. So, knowing that we'll be able to sell, and this is just going to make it easier for them to get the house ready. And for me to have it professionally staged. The second benefit is knowing that they have a place lined up after the home sells, and then they have more time to find the next home. The pros, it gives you much more flexibility on time, and it relieves a lot of that stress of just rushing through the process. Cons, it can be expensive and may require you to temporarily store your household items until you move into that next home. Option number 4, using a financial tool like a bridge loan. Bridge loans are short-term loans that allow you to purchase a new home with your current property as the collateral. So your debt-to-income ratio may not allow you to get a conventional loan on the new home until your previous home is sold, but if you qualify for that bridge loan and expect that your home is going to sell quickly, it's called like gap financing. It could be a good way to solidify where you're moving to before you put your home on the market. The pros, it gives you that certainty of knowing where you're moving to, and it removes that stress of possibly moving twice and getting the storage in between. The cons, the rates and the fees are high, and it can add up fast if the home doesn't sell as quickly as you had anticipated. So I've seen this go perfectly well, and I've seen it go terribly wrong, and it just depends on the market that it was done in and the expectations of how quickly the home would sell. So in conclusion, these are all viable options depending on the housing market and your situation. The good news is, if you have thought about selling and buying at the same time, you have options, and it just comes down to proper planning. So hopefully this at least gives you the knowledge to decide whether you should put a move on hold for now or call me and start the planning process.